here's going back to that provocative question. Do you think that this is going to take value away from partners?
Certainly not. And if anything, it's going to streamline the process of going from error to partner.
Aidrien is just giving voice to the information.
And that can be the difference between an hour's downtime or 5 minutes downtime. And it's hugely impactful, and sometimes I've even heard today when a customer goes, well, we was going to log it with you, but we used Aidrien to find it.
Do you think, I suppose the opposite question then, do you think there's anything that AI won't solve for customers?
Well, this is an interesting one.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Axess Connect and our podcast. We've got a really interesting one today, actually, and I'm quite nervous about some of the results. So I'm hopefully joined by a couple of experts that are going to calm me down and bring me back to earth a little bit, because we're going to be asking the question: are partners truly still needed in an AI-driven Citrix cloud? And I think it's quite a provocative statement, but we're going to ask that question and see what we conclude at the end. I'm joined today by Neha Harit and Stephan Stickley. I'll allow you to do your own introductions. I don't know if you want to give us an idea about your background, guys.
For sure. Go ahead, Stephan. Why don't you start?
Yeah, okay. So I work for Axess. I lead a lot of our EUC specialized topics in terms of the experience that our end users go through, from support all the way through to Thing clients, and I help and assist managing our DAS environments for our customers.
Awesome. Thanks, Stephan. Hi, guys. I'm Neha. I'm part of product management team of Citrix. I am leading Citrix Aidrien, which is the first AI platform for our Citrix product pillars, and I'm really excited to be here.
Great stuff. Thank you. And so I just suppose first question straight over to yourself. For anyone hearing about AI and Aidrien for the first time, what problems were Citrix actually trying to solve when they first introduced that?
So one of the core things we notice as an organization, we want to ensure that our customer experience is good, is seamless, and they don't have to go in multiple loops to be able to get resolutions. So we do analyze our support case data quite thoroughly and want to ensure that our customers don't have to spend too much time resolving those. So there were three key factors. One, we observed a pattern in our support case data that some of the simple questions which are available and published in our KB articles, documentations, and good chunk of those support cases that we get are associated with those. Why should a customer really need to have to go through a cycle of a certain duration of wait time to get those kind of answers? That's one. Second, we do have a lot of moving pieces. We have DTC, STA, you have NetScaler. To get information, you'll go to Studio, you go to Monitor, and there's so much more. And just not that, we are acquiring a lot of new products. We have Device Trust, we have Unicorn, we have Uber Agent. We want to ensure the complexity decreases and day-to-day operation simplifies further today, and including when the new acquisitions happen and new products get integrated in our stack. Third, the accessibility of the tribal knowledge. We do have a lot of features, as learning from our experts, which are getting embedded into our product. But even then, it's still sitting passively in one of the corner of the UI, which you might or might not be able to get to. So the idea is that if across all the three aspects, get simplified operations by reducing their mean time to detect, mean time to resolve, and learn faster.
Wow, great answer. I wasn't expecting quite that level of detail. I have to say, that was an impressive answer, so thank you for that. I think that's a really good understanding, I suppose, of where Aidrien has been introduced and why. Was it driven by customer demand, or do you think there was a bit of internal vision, or perhaps a little bit of both in there?
It was both. So the fact remains, nobody came to us and asked, I want an AI platform to do all of this. We saw a pattern of what's really happening in customer journey. And we did see that the digital use of any information across the market is changing and evolving. One of the key facts, which is available publicly, also ChatGPT has already taken 17 to 18% of Google search engine segment share, which indicates how not only us as users, our admins, help desk teams are also using ChatGPT and other interfaces. So, looking at the patterns, what we are seeing across our internal database and support cases and information and the customer feedback we get, along with how the market was evolving, these became two key factors for us to, drive forward.
Yeah, excellent. And I suppose a question to yourself then, Stephan, as well. Are you seeing from our active customers, are you seeing conversations that you're having where people are asking about the product, what it is, or if they should turn it on, or their experience of it?
We're really not, no, which is really something that we're trying to drive forward as a business, because the utilization of Adrien really does help cut down on that customer journey. So to engage and enrich those customer interactions with the data that Adrien can pull forward is not only going to help them, but help us inside within a secular customer experience, because that information is readily available, meaning that we're not pushing forward to customers, and customers don't need to go and sift through that data. Adrien is available at a request to access that.
And do you think there's tools that people are using today that are kind of failing them by comparison?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I mean, Chat GPT has access to a lot of information, a lot of guides, but it doesn't have access to that granular data that Adrien can access. Adrien's able to access a far more wider range of data, logs, session information that other AI tools and other AI platforms cannot access and cannot offer.
Nice. Okay. Do you think it's an interesting aspect here, isn't it? But do you think that partners, here's to going back to that provocative question, do you think that this is going to take value away from partners?
Certainly not. No, 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 because this is going to help cut down and get to those more complicated cases far quicker. The cases whereby, the actual proof isn't inside the error, isn't inside the data. The area that partners fill are your more complex challenges. And if anything, it's going to streamline the process of going from error to partner much, much quicker, whereby we can help and make that quicker action, that quicker fix. So really it's going to improve time to fix, not replace us.
I truly think Adrien as a solution, it'll amplify the responsibilities the existing admins and partners have so that they can focus on more than what they're able to do now. So it is the role still remains. It's not replacing anything. It is amplifying the capabilities the existing partners and admins have to do things faster and focus on a lot more than what they are doing today.
Yeah, I think that's a very important point, actually. Yeah, when we speak to customers a lot of them, we tend to find reservations because they're nervous around losing their positions or losing their power status, if you will, within the organization. Because, what they're being paid for is knowledge, ultimately, knowledge and experience. And so if the knowledge is taken away from them, where does that leave them? So, no, I think it's a very valid point. And I think actually, enabling is the better position than replacing by any standard.
Absolutely.
So give me an idea about what feeds Adrien then. So you mentioned around that kind of tribal knowledge and those knowledge bases and all the different teams. Is it a back-end LLM that feeds into that? Are there different technologies that make up?
So there are two key parts here, and we can go into the architectural flow as well. But we do use Microsoft Azure OpenAI as our LLM backend. And we have our central agent, which is, you can call it as a brain, which has all the user session chat history. It has the instructions, the guardrails, which sub-agent to go to when a user types in what kind of problem is happening, and which MCP calls to make to based on the kind of prompt the admin mentions and adds. Now, this workflow happens over three key data sources. One is our Citrix SME built documentation and content, which is built by our own teams and our own experts. We have consciously taken a call not to go out to web and scroll all the data and refer to that because we wanted to avoid hallucinations.
Yep.
Having said that, we focus on Citrix documentation. We have KB articles. We have community technical articles as the key data content sources, which are converted into and available in text as in VectorDB. Now, the second is, which we recently announced in the 10th of March GA release, is the support case anonymized data. So we understand, we take in the anonymous data of the case resolution, which our support engineers, hundreds of them, are interacting with our customers and jotting those down. They are learnings. So we have to be able to amplify and enable other customers to be able to, refer to that and leverage that. So we take the issue resolutions and problem descriptions and add that, index that as well, so that when a question comes in, we are able to refer to that as well, along with the other published KB articles and content. The third is the customer context. Now, when I ask about my user, why Andy as a user is facing slowness, Adrien will be able to go into that specific user session, fetch information, correlate that if it's able to identify network latency and VDA CPU issues, what does it really mean? Now, today we don't have capability to take actions, but we will be able to identify the key indicators, correlate with the content available in KB articles and our support knowledge base, and provide the remediations which the admin needs to take steps on. In future, we will convert those into actions wherein we will always have human in the loop. The admins have to review, approve. They can review the data. We give links to the actual control plane UI and execute those steps as they want.
Yeah. Okay. And I suppose that does open up a question then around, you mentioned about anonymizing, but in terms of the privacy aspect, is there some assurity from Citrix that the data is being completely anonymized and that there's no leakage and there's no cross-tenant comparison or anything like that going on?
Absolutely. So we, before releasing it, it was one of the core factors. In fact, the release was blocked that till the point complete anonymization doesn't happen, we cannot release this feature. So that was the one of the utmost factor we made a point to before releasing in GA.
Excellent. That's I asked that question only because it's the worst question to ask, but equally it's the first question
important one to ask.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I suppose, Stephan, perhaps one at you. What would change for a Citrix admin if they enabled this on Monday morning? What would a customer expect to see?
I'd say initially nothing's going to change for them, which is exactly what we want. But as those issues arise, customers do comment about slowness, session issues. That's where we will begin to see the changes, when they can click on that Aidrien button inside the top right and they can begin to ask Aidrien questions. Why is user X experiencing slowness? Why is user Y failing to connect? And what they're going to see is Aidrien pulling back a lot of information. They're going to see logs, session data, monitoring data that they would have had to have gone through and found, and Adrien's just going to pull that back to them and present it to them. So either they can act on the advice that Aidrien gives them, or they can use it to have a more informed decision over the action that they're going to take. That's where the changes begin. And whether that's then escalating to Citrix support, bringing it to their partner, that's a much quicker process.
Yeah. So it's definitely speeding up that return triage and being
able to just
resolve things quicker.
And the fact that it's readily available to all customers right now, it just needs to be enabled. You're effectively 2xing, your first and second line support for nothing really, for free.
And so that does raise an interesting question again. Not that people will be losing their jobs, but do you think that there might be a future environment where we need smaller teams to manage a Citrix estate?
That's a difficult question, and it's a good question because there is no clear answer. I think that really depends on the makeup of teams, skill set diversity, and the role that Aidrien can fill. Because ultimately, Aidrien is just a skilled person that has the ability to analyze data and share knowledge links very, very, very quickly at present. In the future, it may have future features that allows it to act, but again, inside the current product, it's going to work to supplement teams but not replace a team.
Yeah, because it's interesting, from my point of view now, being a legacy Citrix person, I suppose, going right back to Metaframe and WinServer and all the rest of it. I think we've seen the adoption of Citrix Cloud over the last maybe 5 to 10 years, where previously people would have said, the installation of CVAD took so long and it's really complex, and now it's really simple and really easy. But actually the consultancy element has just moved in a different position. It's now about user experience rather than quick installation of a server. So yeah, I'm on the fence with that one. I do think, whilst it seems objectively that smaller teams can be a quick fix here, actually, I think that the workload will just move a little bit, if that makes sense.
It does. I would like to add some more aspects to that. So we, as an organization, we have a platform that we are offering. We just don't have one or two product. That means the portfolio of the platform is going to expand, and it is expanding as we speak. We have new products which are part of the platform, license that's available today. Having said that, the fact that we are simplifying the operations for the same administrators and helpdesk teams, when let's talk about L3, L4 admins. If they're not spending time fixing what's there, they will be able to expand values, to use Uber Agent, to use Unicorn, to use Device Trust. And there's more, there's security, there's so much of expansion that's happening. So the focus will shift. The same set of people will be able to focus more on value. And if you talk about the L1, L2 admins, today, if they are trying to solve the slow user session issues, they might, let's say if you start using, the customer starts using SPA, they start using, device trust, they will be able to expand support to other capabilities, which L3, L4 admins were able to add to the existing Citrix stack. So it's an expansion of value conversation.
Yeah, definitely. That makes a lot of sense. It does make a lot of sense. So just coming back to what you said there around the AI doing, there's kind of a brief mention on that. Is that something that will come to the product in the near future? Is it as a long-term ambition?
So we have just released the first action over Aidrien the customers can take. It's on Netscaler stack to be able to schedule upgrades. So the focus for Netscaler has been to be able to provide the right upgrade readiness, what you would do with them to look through your a particular firmware, compare with what kind of features are coming out, known issues. Let's say if you're using GSLB, are there any known issues, new enhancements, fixed issues that you would like to take a note? So help you with the whole readiness stage, and then do a pre-upgrade checks. It'll trigger all the pre-upgrade checks as a separate process. And then it'll give you ability to schedule the upgrades, which takes up the existing upgrade job only. But that's just the beginning. So there are like helpdesk teams typically go and if they have any issues, they would like to kill the session or make some small changes on the setup, which helpdesk team typically do today. So some of these asks are there from the customers, and we will introduce these kind of actions in future. We do have the plan, but we are doing and rolling out gradually.
Excellent. That's really exciting. Do you think as well that'll reach a point of autonomy almost? Obviously, that's a command prompt and respond. Do you think there's an element of autonomy that may well come as well?
Absolutely. So there are three key pillars of Aidrien. One is the conversational. We need to ensure our product is live and interacting with the customers and the admins are using our control planes. And the second is actionable, make it actionable. Whatever remediations we're providing, a customer should be able to, take actions and execute those. And the third is agentic AI, to make the solution autonomous so that it's able to provide a way for the administrator to just review what the recommendations are. So for example, all of us have a different way of troubleshooting and using our products. All the administrators also have very different ways. I've had very interesting conversations with consultants. They solve the same problem in a very different way. Now, that's sort of like a blueprint we have. So in future, and this is in no way something that I'm committing that it's going to come out anytime near future. But the idea is that we have a skill set. We understand how the administrators are using their products and when do they go to monitor? Do they go to a studio? Which page on monitor do they go? Do they go? And what kind of issues are they really troubleshooting day in, day out? Looking at that as a context, looking at the kind of support cases they are raising, the same at a user persona level, and their deployment context, expand that, give when they come in, we get the triggers of failures, monitor has the triggers, be able to present them that this is what has happened. These are the actions you took last time. Would you like to take the same actions? So, with human in the loop as the always as a way of going forward, we will have these kind of options wherein an admin can go autonomous way, can have human in the loop always and approve it before, just review the steps of remediations and approve. One, at a later point, if the customer is comfortable, he can select them and make them autonomous also. All of that because we're working in ensuring that everything has to be enterprise grade. When somebody says that I want to make it autonomous, we will log it that this user is the one who made it autonomous. And because that user only has access to his machines, his instances, his components, he will only be able to take those autonomous actions for what he is authorized to.
Okay, that's interesting. So if a junior engineer was to ask Adrian to do something, it would be limited to that junior engineer's capabilities.
Yes, that is available today also. Yeah.
Fascinating. Okay. And I suppose, Stefan, to your point of, you and I have had discussions previously about agentic AI and what it means for the future, but are you seeing customers kind of take up this new way of looking at things?
I'm seeing people ask questions around permission, security scoping, things like AI jailbreaking to access information. The general intelligence or general knowledge around AI is becoming a lot more security driven. Whereas I think a year ago, when we were talking on this, we were talking about what is possible. And now we're talking a lot more about how do we keep it safe? Are people using this? How are they interacting with it? And what guardrails against hallucinations, permission breaks, people abusing AI to be able to take advantage of it to pull information that they wouldn't normally have. Those are our key questions and conversations we're having with customers. So it's always good to hear that Aidrien is taking a security first and a permission driven model as a priority, because that's a very difficult conversation to have with people is, are you sure it's safe? Are you sure it can't access things? Those sorts of topics and questions are very, very challenging. And I throw that back to you, Neha. What sort of approach is, obviously we've spoken around the whole approach of anonymizing data and security scoping. So I throw to you, so does Aidrien follow a model whereby it's limited to the scope of that agent? So if I'm interacting with Aidrien, is Aidrien tied down to my permission scope in DAS?
Yeah, so that is right. So I'll take a step back here. How it works. It is available only to the customers who have Citrix Cloud and Citrix Cloud services. So today it is available for DAS and Netscaler console service only. We do have plans on exploring on-prem, but not yet. Having said that, when a user logs in, we will use his bearer token with across all the prompts and interaction that happens and to the calls that goes to the backend from MCP server, from MCP client, which is our chat agent, to the MCP server to the DAS API calls. So that if a user has access, let's say it's read only right now, majority of it is read only. When he asks about analyze this user session, if he cannot access the user information, he will not be able to fetch that information. If he asks about assess CV statement or status for this particular Netscaler instance, if he does not have access to that Netscaler instance, he will not be able to fetch that information, because with every prompt and request, the bearer token, the authorization scope is associated so that it's not conflicted or flouted in any way.
Excellent. No, that's actually really impressive to see that as well. I wasn't expecting that. Let me ask you a hard question then. Where is Aidrien not succeeding at the moment? Are there areas that actually we need it to kind of perform better or do things that it's not currently doing?
So Frankly, this started off as an initiative wherein we wanted it to focus on troubleshooting. We wanted to ease the pain for our customers to troubleshoot things faster. It is right now doing that, and the visibility for the customers that this is supposed to, because we have sub agents, we have built sub agents for customers to, we have a sub agent for unregistered machine analysis, we have for session performance and session analysis, for upgrades, and a lot more. But the customers are using it for their day-to-day operations of, if an instance is down, if, show me the list of machines. And they're asking to simplify the day-to-day operations, which is also great, which is also one of the areas that we are exploring to expand it further. Like in a recent, just like 2 hours back in a conversation with a customer, they wanted cost optimization to be, if I can, talk to Adrian about my cost optimization, which is an excellent use case. But today, right now, it is it is being positioned also externally as also it is the troubleshooting AI assistant, which is going to expand to your day-to-day operations too. You can do that today. You can ask about inventory, but there are some limitations of like cost optimization is not available. Analytics in Netscaler console service is not available today, and Citrix Advisor is not available. So there are a lot of plugins that we need to do. We have figured out some scalable way, but these are still gaps right now.
Okay, so it's almost like the tool is working exceptionally well. We just need people to ask the right questions and see where the value is.
Yes, and to what it supports today.
And I suppose, Stephan, over to yourself. What feedback have you had from any early adopters that you've had on the platform? Have you had any kind of direct feedback around what Aidrien can do and how it does it well?
No, and that's a great thing because it means that people are just utilizing it. Ultimately, it takes it doesn't take much for people to give a bad impression of a product. And what I do hear is Aidrien is good. It helped us find a trouble. Just to distill down some of the information, but it's helped us with connection issues, log on timeouts, connection timeouts. It's what we're hearing is quite nice passive compliments, which is I couldn't ask for more from a product, and sometimes I've even heard today when the customer goes, well, we was going to log it with you, but we used Aidrien to find it. I was like, well done, yay. So that is always nice to have those enriching conversations where Aidrien is doing its best, because then customers look more favorably and confident towards us because we've helped them make use of that tooling.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know if you wanted to add to that at all.
Yeah, so we've had it was in around May when we launched it, and we had we launched as a internal tech preview for private few select customers, 20 customers. We expanded to like hundreds and thousands, and then we made it available across all customers. It has been a very interesting journey. As I said, this is the troubleshooting AI assistant. We position as that, but yes, of course, we get other use cases too along with that. The feedback has been great. A lot of customers love the way it is able to go very contextual to their environment and be able to troubleshoot faster. For the biggest seller right now is the Analyze with Agent for the user session slowness. That is taken up to good 30 to 40% of our customers, and specifically help desk teams who go search their user their traditional way and click on Analyze with Adrian and be able to pinpoint where the problem is, network, VDA, or specific processes which are causing any impact on the session.
Yeah, that's really quite impressive, isn't it? And even if it can just shorten the time to respond so that you're not having to just wait and figure out all the logs and then go, it is a network problem, let's go and speak to the network team.
Exactly.
If that could be condensed from 2 days down to an hour or less, then that's an absolute win, I think, there.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay. And what's one workspace problem that you think AI will solve first? Have you got any views on that?
So there are many angles to that. Right now, we discussed about the troubleshooting space. That's we see a lot of operation overhead from our customers to be able to expand the deployment, not to just what we have today, but be able to expand to device trust and unicorn and new capabilities. In security, we are specifically investing for customers to be able to deploy SPA with Chrome Enterprise browser. So some of these things, as I mentioned in autonomous AI, we will not only provide proactive recommendations what the customer can do, but looking at their environment, what are the ways they can best optimize their existing workspace and also expand to new capabilities, and what is the best way of going about it.
Yeah, and I suppose an interesting one from my point of view, and purely because it's been quite a topical one lately. I've had conversations with customers recently where they're still running Windows Server 2003 in the background for whatever reason. We'll not even go into why. Is this very much likely gonna have an impact on it? Is Adrian going to be able to interpret that information and go, actually, you should be looking at an upgrade because of X, Y, Z, and here are the reasons, or this is, does it stick to the support program if that's not a supported program, so we'll not look at it, or will it make contributions in that way as well?
So it is already doing that. In fact, if you go now, one of the options by looking and referring to the KB articles, it will tell you that this specific build is what you should upgrade to. Let's say if 2607 that comes around July, and
Yeah.
if you are having issues on certain things and you need better optimization, and you end up asking about those things, you will see one of the recommendation even today that this is a build available, and if the first step one, step two, step three doesn't work, step four recommendation would be to upgrade to get a more optimized solution and
Yeah.
experience.
Okay. And do you think, I suppose the opposite question then, do you think there's anything that AI won't solve for customers?
AI won't solve. This is an interesting one. Mm, See, at the end of the day, I think AI or Adrian specifically is adding voice to the products. It is able to just think of the products as passive entities which had all the data. It's just that could not say what it had. So Adrian is just giving voice to the information. Having said that, um, we will need the administrators, we will need our existing team to be able to think through. I don't know if you have read through recent articles of Brian Marin, who is a futurist in CSG. He has this very interesting concept of cognitive stack. So most of the work that we do of the cognitive stack, it's a 20%, 80%, 20 to 80 stack where we stand. 80% of the impact that's there, it's because of the things that we know, the patterns that we do. Every admin has a specific way of doing it, and Adrian is just amplifying it. So the knowledge that comes, the originality of how to look at the data, how to expand the value for the organization will still remain. That cannot be taken away. That cognitive staff will still remain. The rest of the ones wherein the manual stuff that we do, it is essentially trying to streamline that.
Yeah, excellent. And is there a feature then that you are perhaps most excited about that's coming down the road that you're
Uh,
allowed to discuss, of course?
So, Stefan already mentioned about it and how it'll be helpful. It's not there yet, but
Okay.
the AOT and Uber agent integration would be, I think, phenomenal for the core scenarios and use cases that we are targeting. Because once we have all the logs and information, because agent is as intelligent as the data access it has. The more data access it has, it will be able to add meaning to the analysis and provide faster resolutions. So the AOT and Uber agent integrations would be the top ones. There is no confirmation of when they'll come,
Yeah.
but that is one of our priorities.
Nice. Okay. So I suppose question goes over to yourself then, Stephan. If you were to put yourself in the shoes of a customer, what would you be doing now? What's the kind of next step?
Oh, darn it, that's a really good question. Darn it. Um, I think if I was a customer now, I would be just going there and just asking it general questions. You know, probe it, see what it does, get used to the way that Adrian works. You know, just like Claude and ChatGPT, it does work in its own way. You know, you have to ask questions certain ways. And I would say familiarize yourself with with what it can do today. Ask it questions about your environment, and just see generally what it's coming back with. And I think people will be pleasantly surprised with what they see, with the way that they use Adrian. I mean, as Neha said, I've seen some of the features, at a recent event, and I think there's a lot of good things coming down the pipeline. And I think early adopters of Adrian will be able to get the most from Adrian as it develops and then evolves. So my question to answer your question is, use the tool, become experienced with it, encourage people within your organization to use it, because there's a lot to offer more than just, asking ChatGPT, asking Claude, because ultimately it's got access to proprietary Citrix knowledge, and that is really where you want to take advantage of it.
Yeah, I think that's a great answer, actually. I think it kind of boils down to context is key almost, doesn't it? That's becoming the very popular phrase at the moment. And if it has the data and it knows the information when you ask the question, then you're going to get the best result, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Brilliant. Well, look, I think from my point of view, I've been fascinated by this conversation. There's been some really interesting announcements almost and developments around what it can do, where we envision it moving to, and where it could be long term in the future. A lot of what you've said there as well as recomforted me as the partner in the room as well, and equally for hopefully some customers out there who are listening to this saying, actually, I might turn it on today, and I'm not concerned about losing my job. I'm more focused on embracing that value and that position of what Citrix has to offer. So quite a lot we've covered in a reasonably short space of time there. I'm quite impressed with that. So thank you very much, both of you, for joining us in this session. Neha, is there anything that you kind of wish to say to Citrix customers who are thinking of turning on that button today?
I would just like to encourage everyone to start using Citrix Aidrien. As Stephan mentioned, it is a matter for you to start exploring, because you'll be surprised in what you can do. The way it is able to correlate data across different aspects by looking at your own deployment and take in consideration of how the latest happenings in the support interactions with the customers, as well as the information available. You'll be surprised with what level of simplification it can bring to the table today. So do try it and feel free to provide feedback. We have in-product feedback available on thumbs up, thumbs down. You'll be able to give us a very specific. We have a very focused agenda right now to specifically look at the feedback that customers are providing, and we're getting a lot of feedback. It's a great, I'm really happy with the level of customers. There are thousands of customers are using today, and they're providing us a lot of feedback, and we're focusing to ensure that we address all those customer feedback and then move forward.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Well, I really appreciate your time. Thank you both of you for giving up some of your day. We'll see everyone on the next one.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks, Stephan.